Welcome to the Bison Brothers Basketball Podcast, your number one home for all things Bison basketball. I'm your host, Chip Washington, the self-appointed Bison basketball fanatic.
Hey, what's up, Bison Nation? I'm your boy, B Smooth, Brian Foston, lover of all things Howard and lover of all things basketball. And man, we got a show for you today, man. We've been itching to get back on the microphone. You all got a chance to hear us kind of come to you with some preview games over the last couple of weekends. But today we recap, we get back into the flow. So, Chip, I'm excited, man. This is, I don't know if I'm excited about all the performances we saw, but I'm excited to get back and chat with you about kind of where we are mid-season here and where we need to go to get back to the dance, the big dance. So,
No doubt.
Hey, man. Anything you looking forward to today, man, for the folks that are listening in?
Hey, first of all, I'm looking forward to telling everybody why you need to tune in to this podcast. First and foremost, we want to let you know you need to support these teams, the men and the women's team. How can you do that? I'm glad you asked. You can donate to the Mecca Society at themecasociety.org. The Mecca Society is Howard's name, image, and likeness collective. You can also donate to the athletics department at hubison.com. And then you can listen to this podcast in so many ways. You can listen on YouTube, on Spotify, on Apple. You can follow us on Instagram. So please tell everyone about the podcast, share the podcast, like the podcast, subscribe to the podcast, and then go to the games. When you're at the games, take your reactions to the games. Send us your reactions. Just keep telling everybody about this podcast, about the Howard University basketball teams. Spread the word, and we're going to get into it, and let's get at it.
I love it. You always get me hyped up, bro. Every time you tell us why we do it, I think that folks don't realize that this is a labor of love. We are Howard alum through and through, and it's just a cool way to give back in a way to kind of get everybody excited and becoming fans of Howard sports and Howard basketball. So today we're going to get back to the old way we've been working a little bit. We're going to get into some recaps. We had another rematch against the Hampton Institute, Hampton University last weekend. We'll talk a little bit about that and see if we can just see what we learned from that and move on. And we got back into conference play, so we'll talk about our matchup most recently with South Carolina State a little bit earlier this week. We'll talk about our men first, and then we'll wrap up with our women. And then, as you know, we won't get out of here before we talk about some over and under reactions, because we've been following the team since the beginning of the season. It's time for us to kind of maybe start owning up to where we think we really are as we get ready for conference tournament play, which is in a few weeks. We're in February already, so it's only next month. So we're going to get into it, but before we do, we're going to warm up like we normally do, because the band is playing in the background. I don't know you hear it, but we're going to put it on and see if we can just warm up a little bit. Let's get it. Hey. Shout out to the Showtime marching band of Howard University. They get us in our feelings every time. I know we can't get to the Burr all the time, but when we can't, we turn on a little bit of Howard University playing the next song. And I know that you all hear it on every other sporting event. I think a lot of schools have figured out how to work it into their musical arrangements, but it doesn't sound the same. It's often imitated, but never duplicated. Shout out to the Showtime marching band. So, hey, we're back. Welcome back to Bison Brothers Basketball. We're getting back into the flow. First up with our recaps. We're going to get into a quick recap of the matchup. About a week ago, we had our friends from the South, the Hampton, Virginia, Hampton Roads area, travel up. We got a chance to continue this this thing about the Battle of the Real HU. I know that they took us to town. We made the visit back in January or December, I guess it was. It was like right at the holiday time, and then we knew they were coming back to town. We knew they were going to come up, and we hosted them. This time, we didn't host them in our gym at the Burr. We did host them in a really beautiful facility over in southeast east part of town. And so I know it was on ESPN, bro. It was exciting to say the
Hey,
least, right?
hey, the crowd. I shout out to Bison Nation because every time I looked in the crowd, I saw so many Howard sweatshirt. It got me hyped being on the couch watching the game. I was just like, yeah, Bison Nation. Shout out to you for filling up the DC entertainment and sports arena in DC and showing out for the Bison. So
That's right. That's right. Well, just as a quick, if you didn't catch it or you were under a rock and didn't figure out what happened, it was a game that went into overtime. Just to set the scene. Hampton played us pretty closely. We were back and forth most of the game, and then they took a pretty big lead on us. They felt pretty comfortable. I think about 3 minutes left in regulation, they were up about 11 points or so. And then all of a sudden, our man, Blake Harper, turned it on and said, not so fast, and literally walked down and probably got a foul on everybody on the bench everybody who tried to stick him. They all got fouls. He put fouls on them. How you say it, Chip? They put fouls on them.
hey,
Like,
he got his Denzel training day on in the last 4 minutes. Give me the ball in the post. Hey, are
right.
you a forward? I'm putting fouls on all you
That's right.
Pirates. And that's what he did. Just
That's what he did.
manhandling. Oh, I love
Walked
it.
him down,
Love it.
walked him down, and because he was playing like the dude he is, he's a real dude. He actually was able to walk us back with a little bit of help from Marcus Dockery and team, and we were able to pull even with the Pirates. They were shocked, and maybe we were too, because we went into 5 more minutes. And I can tell you right now, Chip, there was something about that turnaround that made me say, okay, this is the team I thought we would be when we had a few more people back that were healthy. We had some ball handlers, some shooters. We had people come back, and it feels like the last 3 minutes of regulation and those 4 minutes and 53 seconds,
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
balled out because we took the lead for a little while. Matter of fact, we had a lead going into the last possession. Man, we were clowning. I think that for me, I was smiling. I was dancing around at the house, and I have fun whenever we're winning. So I was bouncing around, and all I can say is when Hampton had the ball at the end, I said, man, surely this is going to a double overtime. Surely it is. But just when I thought it's like calling the putt good in golf that rims out at the end. You're like, wait a minute, that didn't go in. And then with Hampton, they were like, how about we shoot a three and get fouled, and wound up a 4-point play to pull ahead. The Hampton Institutional Pirates narrowly defeated our Howard Bison 80-79 in overtime.
And to add insult to injury, the dude that took the last shot was a former Bison. I was like, oh, if this was a movie script, you'd be like, man, I'm walking out the theater. Ain't no way.
Yeah.
Ain't no way that happened.
Now I'm going to mess with you a little bit, Chip, but I got to mess with you because
I know.
you're a fan of all the former Howard Bison players. Maybe recently you follow Texas Tech, Elijah Hawkins. Shout out to Elijah. You follow our man Settles that's up in Philadelphia in the city of brotherly love, getting his game on. And so you didn't love that shot, man. Whenever you see a former guy doing well, you don't love that, bro?
Hey, not against us. If he hit that shot against A&T, Wayne Bristol, you my man. You hit
right.
You hit that shot against Norfolk State, I got you.
Oh my god!
But you leave the herd, you can't come back and beat the herd, and I'm gonna be happy. Nah, not gonna happen. Not today.
Well, I just have to check it because you have a way of following people and connecting dots to people who used to play for Howard, and I think you want to claim them when they say they went to Howard. You do a little check mark. You send me a text. It's very adorable. I love the fact that you love Howard so much that you cheer for people who left Howard. But this one, I get it. If they're playing against Howard, no bueno. Got it. Well, I tell you what, man, I'm laughing because I know we're gonna hit a couple of highlights here just because it's still kind of in our feelings. But
Yeah.
I want to give me your quick impression of what you think happened here because I want to make sure that we can learn. We always know we don't win or lose. We win and learn. We win and learn.
Right.
We win and
Right.
learn. So what did we learn?
It's gonna be somewhat cliche,
Okay.
but Cameron Shockley, OKK, he cannot. You cannot be close to Wayne Bristol when he's shooting that three.
Oh.
You can't. You don't need to be nowhere near him. So it's we hear it in all the sports. It never comes down to that one play, but in that one play, bruh, can't you? So, but other than that, like Anwar Gill didn't have a good game.
He did not.
So, although I'm glad Blake Harper got 35, we might not necessarily want him having to score 35 every game. So we need a little bit, at least from a kind of a more well-rounded thing, we need a little bit more. And I'm saying that gently out of Anwar Gill. It was 1 point, I believe he had. We got to have more from our experience transfer point guard. And so that, to not have contributions from him throughout this game, that's not a recipe moving forward. So we're going to need, I know you always wanted him to have, is it 10 assists? I can't.
Yeah,
double. So
double.
You can't get a double with 1 point. So
can't do it. Can't do it.
Yeah. So that, like I said, it ain't a lot really to say. But like I said, gotta get more contributions from Anwar Gill. He's just gonna have to do better, step it up. We know he can, so he just has to do it. Hey, we all have bad days, bad games, you name it, and maybe we'll chalk that up to that. But we got to get some more out of him in that position. It's too important to the offense, to the flow, and
I like it, man. You always are really insightful about knowing the potential of our team, and I do think that that Anwar and Joshua Strong, they all got back to that game, so we were just getting a few fresh bodies back. My biggest concern when we talked about it ahead of time was that we know that with Hampton being at full strength, they have a really different scenario where most of their most potent scorers come from the bench. They don't start the game, and so they let these, their first guys go out there and kind of run you up and down the court. And then right when you're starting to get a little fatigued, they bring their real guns in. And so, George Beal Jr., who was basically cooking us the whole game, he had his highlight reel on us that, in terms of just his play. I think he almost scored 30 himself because he was just on fire most of the game. A lot of that comes from the fact that, with us having limited production on our bench, we're going to always kind of get outscored by the bench. And again, I think Blake, if he hadn't turned on like he did in the last 3 minutes, I think we would have seen, a comfortable defeat by the Hampton Pirates over our Bison, because it didn't seem like we were having any life. But I will tell you, those 3 minutes or so, and maybe even 3 or 4 minutes into the overtime period, I believe if we see a run out of our team and we see the men's team really position themselves to start to really click at the end of the season here, and maybe even get a nice favorable seeding in our MEAC conference tournament, I'm going to point back to the Hampton game, because I think that there were some things where, with the pieces coming back into play and everybody fighting, we were talking about toughness, and I want toughness to be the thing that's our identity with the guys. Is we can score, we can pass, we're real kind of cool out there sometimes, but we're going to get tested. We're the champs. And so there's a level of toughness that, unfortunately most of the guys had to inherit. They're not part of the early DNA of our championship team. They weren't there to win them the championships, but they're part of a championship team. So I'm looking for, those bursts of toughness to hopefully start to really play themselves out in the rest of our conference play. So, yeah, you're right. And not a whole lot to learn there. Not a whole lot to learn there.
And I will say one thing, and this will be a nod to Ewash in his absence. I think he would have loved talking about this game, because it really wasn't a lot of 3-pointers. We only shot 16 overall, which is very low for us. So we had a lot of inside scoring, a lot of ball movement. I mean, it was the recipe was there to win this game. So I do like, if we can keep that up, that type of ball movement and inside scoring, inside play and even passing out to the three, I think that bodes well moving forward. So
Yeah. Shout out to Calvin Dobbins. What's your nickname for him again?
Dunk Master Flex.
Duck Master Flex. I know he does bring a little bit more pizzazz and excitement to the game when he's in the game, because if he's anywhere near the rim, he's going up and going over. And so he did play well. I just want to shout him out because you kind of turned us on to him before he even got any minutes. So it's nice to see him in the rotation. If there's been any benefit of us having a limited bench to play, he's getting a lot more shine, a lot more time. So we learned a little bit. I think that there were flashes of what we could have in terms of potential. I like that word, potential. So I'm hoping that we can see that carry on. Now, my hope was that after losing a heartbreaker by 1 point, when we got back into conference play just a few days later, we matched up with our friends from Orangeburg, South Carolina. If you don't know where that is, it's probably cool. You don't need to go down there if you're going to see folks at South Carolina State in Claflin. You don't really go there just to hang out. It's the southern point of our MEAC conference in terms of geographical region. It's 2.5 hours or so from Atlanta, about an hour and a half, hour 40 from Charlotte. So we make it down there. So they traveled up. They came to DC, and as I know you'll tell us, we know we were going to run into a buzzsaw, and that game didn't turn out the way I thought. I thought we'd come in maybe ready to kind of take them to town, and by the end of the first half of that game, it looked like we were ready to kind of settle down and play. But then the second half happened, and let's just say we suffered. I think the way we suffered a loss, it was like 89-66, I believe, and we were leading at halftime.
Yes.
So we had a lead, we lost the lead, and we lost it really well. And so let's talk about it, because I know for us, we're back in conference play, and our conference record still says we should be one of the top teams, but we've lost a couple of games now. That makes it very hard for us to say we're one of the best in the conference right now. So let's get into it, because I think you need to let the fans know how much you love South Carolina State, and I'll let you know. I'll let you know how we can look at this game from a couple of different ways. There's your way, and there's the right way. So we'll see how we do it. So I just want to let you know. So set it up, Chip. Let folks know what you believe to be the strength of South Carolina State and why you were not surprised about the outcome of the game. Please. The floor is yours. Floor is yours.
If we rewind to, I believe, I can't remember, might have been episode 5, maybe 7. Go back and watch the MEAC recap episode, and Be Smooth and Ewash were looking at me crazy because I was like, hey, SC State might be in the top 2 or 3 of the MEAC. And I said that because when I watched a lot of SC State games, and they got a hard-nosed coach, Eric Martin, former Cincy player, a dog. When I watched them play defense, especially in their non-conference schedule, I saw, and I'm not prone to hyperbole or anything like that. When I was watching them boys, I was like, hey, this team reminds me of the Arkansas Razorbacks 40 Minutes to Hell, because they play hard-nosed, in-your-face defense for 40 minutes. And so I wasn't surprised to see them throw the defense on us. I think the key number here, and we'll get into it, was 29 turnovers, right?
It was.
Now the announcer and both Be Smooth tend to think that most of the turnovers were unforced errors.
Unforced.
They didn't see the same game that I saw. There were a ton of forced errors. Hold on. I went to the Google. I went to the Google machine. All right.
Google machine.
It says, please. An unforced error refers to a mistake a player makes when not being actively pressured by the defense. essentially a blunder or poor execution that is entirely their fault due to a lack of focus or poor decision making, rather than being forced into an error by a skilled defensive play from the opponent. Examples include dribbling the ball out of bounds or throwing a careless pass that goes out of bounds when no defender is close by. Well, first of all, South Carolina State doesn't know the meaning of not being close by an opponent. They were in everybody's face at all times. So it what some people might have called unforced errors, I'm saying those errors were forced by the pressure of South Carolina State's defense. So to me, the story was that, you know, the defense, the pressure, that it was more than just the press. We know South Carolina State is going to press you and they're going to trap you. That's what they do for 40 minutes. Okay. That pressure, the half court defense, they in the passing lanes, all of that contributed to an astounding number of turnovers. We may have had, so if it was 29, I say we had maybe 5 unforced errors. Yes, debate me. But
this dude,
yeah, it was the time. So I got a question for you.
Please.
This might settle the debate.
Let me know. Cause
all right, what would you call
right now?
this?
I don't hear it.
I know. What would you call this? So there was one turnover where Dagger drove in the lane, jumped in the paint.
He
didn't have anywhere to go because of the pressure defense. Nowhere to throw it to. Nobody was open and traveled. Would you call that an unforced error or a forced error?
So it was an unforced error because of how you described it. Correct? He ran into the paint and then didn't have anywhere to go.
Why didn't he have anywhere to go? Because the defense was intense. He had skilled defensive players around him, and there were skilled defensive players around everyone else, and he had nowhere to go. It wasn't a blunder or a poor execution or a lack of focus. That wasn't dribbling the ball out of bounds or a careless pass. They wanted him to go in the lane. He had nowhere to go, and then he traveled. So
what you're telling me? So what you're telling me, America, this guy. Like, I'm just telling you, I love you like a brother. So I need you to know that your propensity for hyperbole is unmatched. It is unrivaled. It is unrivaled. And here's why. Because everything you're saying sounds like these guys, I don't know why South Carolina State's even in our conference. They should be playing in the SEC. Is if they're that good. I'm just saying, if they're all over the place and every time you turn around, you see one of their jerseys in front of you, that's the case. But I can promise you the collapse happened in the second half. If their 40 minutes of defense was all that, one, we would have never had the lead at halftime. We would, because the pressure would have been so great that we wouldn't have been able to score. Now, what I will give you is that once they did apply some pressure, everybody was shaking. And that collapse was based on us not paying attention to details. And I would up your number. I would say about half of the turnovers were unforced because they were just coming across half court and there was no pressure to get the ball out of hand. Now, maybe they thought there was going to be pressure because they had seen some before. Maybe we had people that were unlikely ball handlers because we ran into foul trouble and people had to bring the ball up so we would get the ball in play. You know, our foul trouble, our ability to kind of get the ball over half court, it's always been a bit of a challenge for us. And so all they had to do was threaten to play defense. They didn't have to play defense like you're talking about because, honestly, if they had played the defense, you're telling me the score would have been by more. They would have had 100 on us because we'd never got across half court. But we would get across half court and throw the ball away. And I watched it in succession. It was a recurring problem. And I know it led to the blowout score because that's what happened. We stopped scoring, we got into foul trouble, and then we started throwing the ball away. And that was a tsunami. So I know you defined it Thank you beautifully. I know you fall in love with Google and Webster's dictionary on in educating all of us on what does it mean to have an unforced error. But I tell you what,
My eyes.
if you see things that are really close to what you described, and you assume that it's because of the defense that maybe wasn't playing as hard as you thought, at some point they were like, "Hey, we'll just take it." They were ready to catch the ball as it came across the half court because they were just standing there. I promise you, it wasn't the pressure you thought. I think that may have gotten some people's heads, but we had some people, untraditional ball handlers, I call it. That's my best way to say it. They're untraditional ball handlers. And when you have people that couldn't handle the rock and just felt like there was pressure, you throw the ball away. We've seen some of these same throw the balls. We had same turnovers with Hampton. Would you say Hampton was a powerhouse on defense? Would you say Hampton was a powerhouse?
Not like South Carolina State. So,
Yet we saw the same type of turnovers in that game.
but we only had 11. We only had 11 turnovers in the Hampton game. 29 South Carolina State.
Let's just call it a tsunami. It was a tsunami. When it broke open, it was broken. And everything that could go wrong did go wrong in drones. So I think with the accumulation of everything that could have gone wrong, you're going to have a hard time impressing me with this so-called 94 feet of defense and terror, because we were making unforced errors that we normally don't make. So
Bison Nation, we'll let you decide.
Yeah,
Who's right?
I mean,
who's wrong?
I think you should decide.
Yeah.
I know. I said if you follow Chip, please tap in on the comments. He needs to hear that he has other people in his corner. If you don't respond, I know you're going with me. It's like heads I win, tails he loses. So needless to say, we can't agree on one thing. It really wasn't cool to see us lose to South Carolina State, no matter how well they defended us and no matter how much we let the foul trouble catch up with us. And, ever since we got a few more healthy people back, our rotation doesn't take advantage of, the minutes we need from some of the big guys, Michael Stewart and Hema and Taiwo. We need some minutes from them. I just think it's hard to work them in when we need so many people who can handle the ball in offense. The matchups have been unfavorable the last couple of games, but this is where we're light inside in terms of our defensive presence and offensive presence. So if our guard play and our 3-point shooting isn't where it needs to be, it's going to be hard to compete, for long stretches.
Yeah.
So.
And I don't want to pick on him, but Anwar Gill again didn't have the greatest of games. Now, like I said, he missed 4 or 5, so he's still working himself in. All the guys that are coming back, we got to give them some grace to work themselves back in. So we know Gill has it in him, but for this basically 2 games in a row. I mean, he only had 2 points in this game. 1 point the last game. Definitely got to get some more. And Jaron Johnson, I don't think he's watching the podcast.
Yes.
So we're gonna have to get the sponsors in again.
Yes.
Because I'm looking in the camera, Jaron. I need you to go to the hole. I need you to go stronger to the basket. I'm watching the warm-up lines. I'm seeing you dunking in the warm-up lines. I know you got it in you. My brother, I need you when you go into the rack, go strong, draw the foul. There was one play where he did, I saw he tried to back in and, he went in and the layup it was not a strong take to the basket. And I was like, Jaron, I need you to go stronger. You got the skill, you got the height. Put it all together. When you're in the paint, man, be strong with that ball and go to the basket. So we need that. We need more from Gill. We need Jaron being stronger, going to the basket. I like all the other aspects of Jaron's game, but we definitely need him to be stronger when he's got the advantage driving to the basket. Like there's too many times where I've seen him drive in the paint. He's in the paint with an advantage, and he backs the ball back out. No, we can't. You gotta press the advantage when you have it, and keep going to the rack. So
you make an emotional appeal like no other, counselor. We'll send him a special message because he needs to hear that we know he has it in him. I think that's the challenge. I don't know if the folks that are listening to us on Bison Brothers Basketball Podcast, thanks for checking in. We really do look at every single player we have on both our teams, men and women, and we know their capabilities. They show us, and so anything we're talking about, and we do our special look in the camera moment to talk to specific players, because we know you have it in you. And I can only add one element of what you asked for, my brother, is I need to see the toughness in conference play. We still, it seems like we don't understand that not only do we have to play tougher, but we got to play championship tough, because every single team coming at us knows we got the chip for the last 2 years. There's Norfolk State. Shout out to the Norfolk State making the top 10, top five, winning a crazy game against Central last weekend. But, last week or earlier this week, it's one of those things where we're seeing some of the best basketball we've seen in our conference for a while, because everybody's coming for the chip. And we have it. So that means that I need everybody who does, listen to the podcast, watch our podcast, insert name, Shockley OKK, Blake. I need all you guys playing with that sense of this is our house, this is our chip. And so there's a toughness that needs to emerge pretty quickly. Otherwise, we're gonna have a rinse and repeat on some of these recaps. Just saying. Just saying. So I know, I don't want to be all doom and gloom. I will tell you this, that, getting our players back is probably the number one thing I'm looking for. Is we need to get people back in the lineup. And I think you made a really good point earlier, Chip, where every time people do come back, there is going to be some concern on how quickly we can gel with pieces that we can rely on back in the lineup. So, unfortunately, the next few weeks we'll be playing some teams that should give us some ability to work on that before we really face maybe the end of the season with Norfolk State and kind of make our trip down to Orangeburg and see South Carolina State again. So my hope is that, the rivalries matter, and every conference game is a rivalry now. Every conference game is a rivalry now. So, So our guys, two L's, just to kind of put that in a bow. I think we learned a few things. We shared the fact that, turnovers are the enemy. I think that foul trouble is also the enemy too, because once we get in foul trouble, we can't play as aggressively as we'd like. I did like seeing that when we have a few bodies back, we could play more man-to-man defense. For the chalkboard folks that listen in, we were playing a lot of zone just to save our legs and maybe keep us out of foul trouble. But we definitely, when we play man-to-man, we are much more competitive, and it is more disruptive to the other team. So, both games were close. One was close all the way to the very end, and the other one was close into the second half. So I think we have it. So the guys, we're hopeful. We'll when we go to our over and under reactions, we'll talk a little bit about what we need to see from them, just to kind of package that up. So let's switch gears. Let's talk about the ladies who, had a pretty long break, right? They didn't have a chance to play a lot of the, because of our non-conference games with the men. We had a lot of breaks for the ladies' schedule, but I think they came back ready to kind of pick up where they left off, right? After, maybe a tough outing against Norfolk, we were able to see them get right back on the horse and go against the Lady Bulldogs, who are rebuilding. So the Lady Bulldogs aren't necessarily as strong as they used to be, but I believe they, we did pull out there was never in doubt that we were going to win. It was just by how much. I think it was 68-41. So from tip to the end, right, from the tip off to the buzzer, we were in control. Definitely Z Payne showed up big and double, and Destiny always has a little bit to show for it. But I like the fact that, the identity we were looking for a Coach Ty Grayson team to put into motion as part of the championship culture and that dog mentality. I saw it, and for that, I was very excited to see how the game played out. But you had other feelings, Chip. You weren't as excited about the win, and it was a dominant win. But we should probably let people know why. Why weren't you excited about the victory?
So this will probably be an unpopular opinion. So I agree. I loved the defense. I think the defensive intensity has been the same throughout the season. But I felt like offensively, I don't know if they just knew South Carolina State wasn't that good of a team, but the way that we ran our offense, it looked disjointed. Like I haven't seen them play this kind of offense for the entire season. it didn't look purposeful in terms of what we were trying to do. We just happened to be better, way better than them, and we could kind of get away with a lack of a purpose in your offensive flow. I think there's, like I said, we just happen to be better than them. Proud of the dub, proud of the defense. But I didn't like, I'd rather see us continue to kind of play to our standard on offense, because I think, we need that. We need to keep that standard for the tougher opponents. And so that's kind of my only thing. It was like, normally we move the ball around, we get it inside, offensive rebounds, and it just kind of looked like, well, we're better. I'm gonna take this shot right here. South Carolina State can't really do anything with us. So it's a very intangible type of a thing. Because again, what was the score? 68-41. So it's
41.
Not really a lot to complain about, but I didn't see a purpose in the flow of the offense. I just saw that we were way better than them, and it showed.
So let me. Okay, America,
Unpack
just please let me give me a moment, just because I am always impressed by how you can find the one thing to worry about in a victory. I'm impressed, because when we talked about this, when we started the podcast, we said, hey, we want to know what identity we would look for from our teams, especially to make a championship run. And so you're telling me, after understanding that we said the formula, even as we were previewing conference play, the formula for us to see our Lady Bison make another run to the championship game and hopefully break through and beat the team and get into the big dance again after a few years away, was really solidified by having multiple scoring options and balanced scoring. So we didn't only see Destiny or Saniyah King trying to carry the load. We need at least 3.5, 4 people scoring. We also said, with the size we have, Z Payne leading the pack, and Vanessa Blake and Niall Miller, we should be seeing the edge and rebounding in every game, because we got size on size on size. And by the way, if we lock up on defense, we at least get those 3 things going at any given point. We get multiple scorers, a rebounding edge, and defense. It's going to be hard to beat us. We did that against South Carolina State. And yes, we were better, and we were definitely better. But the fact was that the offense didn't flow. It wasn't as pretty as maybe we'd like it to be. It wasn't like a Showtime Lakers kind of deal where people were like passing behind the back and all that. But when the rest of the identity shows up, I don't think it all has to click that way. I was actually more impressed that I saw elements of that identity even against a team that wasn't as good as us. We could have played down to the competition. We didn't play our best offensive flow kind of game, but bro, come on. What do you want?
All right.
What do you want?
All right. I pulled up a couple of random games, and I think this might. So when we played, this is against American, right? We beat American 75-46, clearly better than them. We had 16 assists in that game.
We did.
We played. Who is this? Norfolk State, who we lost to, right?
Yep.
We had 13 assists in that game. And now we go to this game against South Carolina State. We only had 8 assists. Like, I could see that. We need some more assists. Like I said, it didn't not contribute to the win, because again, we're way better than SC State. But 8 assists for the team. Just the offense, it didn't look like it had a lot of purpose, and I think that shows in the single digit assist number for the entire game. We need to be better than that, with higher competition. So
here's the deal, and I want to make sure I ask this the right way, because I know in your heart of hearts that you're you're definitely nitpicking right now in a victory. So I don't want to make it more salacious than it needs to be. But I guess in the scheme of things, are you always looking for our teams to be playing as though they're going to be playing against the top competition every day, or are you looking to see how do we win? Because the opponents are different. And I just want to know for you, are you always looking? You said the standard, and I want to make sure I honor that. Is that when we don't hit the standard, you're already disappointed whether we win or lose? Is that right?
That is correct. That's correct. Yes, I want us to play championship level play whenever we hit the floor.
Okay.
Practice the games because I think that's what is going to allow us to have a special run this season.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Okay.
that's yeah.
Yeah. And again, I'm looking into the camera, America. This is, this is us trying to make sure we have understanding. This isn't just arguing to be arguing. I just know that because of, where we want both our teams to do as well as possible. And we know that it's been a few years since our ladies have been able to break through in the MEAC championship. And so, we only have a handful of people who are on that championship squad that made it and won our first NCAA tournament game. So I love the fact that you're looking for us to play at a championship level. I will submit to you that I may I may be looking at it slightly differently because most of the team hasn't played championship level before in terms of the MEAC. And so I think we're growing into that. I have full confidence in Ty Grace and her staff to make sure that they're setting a standard and they're trying to get us there. I think it takes time, as they've pointed out. They have the benefit of not having so many transfers and folks coming in. So they have a nucleus they're building around. So I think that the hope is that by the end of the season, we're playing at a championship level. And maybe because I think that we're still on that journey, I'm not nitpicking. I'm actually looking at it to say, wow, hey, we won without passing the ball a lot. Would I prefer, 15, 20 assists? Yes. But we won with 8. And I need to know that we can win with 8 or 28. So the fact that we talked about it, there's enough talent on this team where we shouldn't have to score exactly the same way or do things exactly the same every day. So I get you. I think that as we see the championship DNA starting to really move through the rest of the team, I'm excited about the next few games to see, how do they keep building on this to make sure that we don't ever play down to the competition. Because on the women's side of the bracket so far, I believe that, my biggest concern is our friends down in Norfolk. They are a mid-major team that is playing like it, and so they're the standard bearer for the season. So if you're not playing at least at that level, you should feel like you're just playing for second place. So
Yeah.
so I like it. I like it. So, but a good win, solid win. Maybe not as impressive as it could have been overall, but a solid win nonetheless. But
Indeed.
I'm glad to see a win. I think that if I was looking for a win, I'm just glad the ladies are still winning. And I think the guys got a little work to do. And speaking of work, we're going to take a quick break and then we'll come back, do some over and under reactions and see if we can wrap up for this episode, man. Yeah, let's take a quick break. We'll be right back. Hey, welcome back.
Hey.
It's your boy B Smooth. It's Chip Washington. You're with the Bison Brothers Basketball Podcast, the number one source for all things Howard basketball.
Yes.
And we just had some fun recapping the games from the last week. We had a non-conference game against an arch rival, Hampton Institute. Shout out to the Institutional Pirates.
I called him the arch nuisance.
Arch nuisance.
You've been Hampton Institute for 100+ years.
Yes, right.
Got a couple of years as a university, and now all of a sudden, chirp.
That's right.
Nuisance.
Well, in all fairness, Hampton University became a university right around the same time Michael Jackson dropped Thriller. So Thriller was good. So Hampton University is pretty good. So
Yeah.
I mean, Hampton is Hampton. Shout out to Hampton, and shout out to Hampton being in that new Nike Air Jordan commercial, Unbannable. Wait,
Oh,
that was Howard. My bad. My bad.
the real HU.
Ain't you without the
You
flair?
no.
Oh, come on now.
Yes.
Come on now. So
Yes.
so we're at the favorite part of our program where we take in all the watching hours of film and the screaming and the wishful thinking and saying, okay, so what are some over and under reactions based on what we're seeing so far? And this time, because we're getting close to the end of the conference play, we got to start settling up. You know, we were kind of wild
Yeah.
with this stuff early in the season. Now we got to be able to say, well, we've seen a lot. So let's talk a little bit, man. What are some of the
Okay.
over under reactions that you're seeing at this point in the season?
All right. So to our Apple listeners, you're not gonna really be able to see, but I'm doing the fingernail biting,
Biting his nails.
biting my nails, meme, gif. Bison Nation is the anxiety is high. The angst for the men. For the men, the angst is high. The
Yes.
anxiety is high. Last year, we had an up and down season, but we put a few wins here and a few, losses there. But this season, and I'm chewing on the fingernails, we have seen 5 losses in a row.
In a row.
2 to Division II teams. I'm hearing Bison Nation. I'm scouring the network, and this is what I'm seeing. And I mean, I don't buy it. It's like Chris Rock said about OJ. He said he shouldn't have done it, but I understand. I'm hearing
Wow.
I'm hearing Bison Nation, and they're saying, are we ever going to win another game? When I first heard it, I said, come on, man.
Yeah.
It's the Dream Factory. You talking about, are we going to win another game? But as I tried to channel Bison Nation and the anxiety and the angst, I was like, I mean, we did lose the Bowie and Morehouse. That was very unexpected. I mean, with the injuries, I see why the overreaction from the fans is, are we going to win another game? Because just like we know, everybody's coming for us as the champs. It ain't far-fetched to think that we might not win another game.
Okay. Well, look at you. You got everybody all hot and bothered now. Appreciate that. Bison Nation, rest assured, this is part of the program, over and under reactions. It's fair to say that this may be the biggest overreaction we've had of the season. You know, will we win another game based on this pace? You know what? If you hear this part of the program, I need you to chime in. Hit the comments. Let us know what you think, because what we have learned, and because we're building fans, right? This podcast is about building fans. So we're actually hearing from some of the most diehard fans, but we also are hearing from the most downtrodden fans that we've had, because they remember all the bad times and they don't remember all the good times. And we've only had some recent good times on our men's basketball program. Shout out to Coach Blakely. He's been able to enjoy a couple of championships back to back. That is historic for the program. So, the question does become probably bigger than, are we going to win another game? Is my overreaction, or is the championship run done? Should we just be thinking about the rebuilding of a program and maybe try to take another run, because we've run out of the championship DNA? I'm being very serious because, again, like we talked about the ladies, there's only a handful of the guys on the men's team that were part of the championship run over the last couple of years, and most of them have been injured. So they can talk about it, and they can tell people how cool it was when they got a chance to fly in a charter jet to Iowa and to Ohio and all this other stuff. But most of the people we're relying on, especially our newest players, they have no frame of reference. So I get you. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I'm willing to believe that we're not winning another game, but I do think that maybe the championship run is done. I have to see something, a spark. Now we do have Blake Harper, and so I will say that my underreaction still means that we have a potential national player of the year caliber guy on the team, and I think he's going to try to will us to at least a deep run in the conference tournament, but we're going to need to see at least two other guys show up with him for it to be a shot. It's not. We know right now it's not a one person job, and you've already hit us with. I still think that it runs through our guy Anwar Gill. We need a big guard who can take over games because that's the common denominator. If we got a guard that can take over games, shout out to our previous guards on the team. We know when we have solid guard play, anything's possible.
Yes.
Anything's possible. So, all right. So this is good, man. So, what about on the ladies? Any reactions there? Any over under reactions there other than nitpicking a blowout victory?
Nothing really on the ladies. My underreaction is actually on the men. So for the ladies, they're handling their business like I expect them to. I expect the rematch with Norfolk when that comes around. It's gonna be a lot tighter, much tougher game. So I think the ladies are right where they need to be and chugging along. So hey, you let me know when you're ready for my underreaction for the men.
So for the ladies, my only overreaction is I believe that what's the young lady out of Norfolk State? Diamond Miller, what's her name?
Diamond
Miller.
Johnson.
Diamond Johnson. After watching her play, she's box office. I mean, she literally is fired from inside, outside. She can score. But what I realize is that I think Saniyah King can go toe to toe with her. And so I think my overreaction would be when we play them again, I'm hoping Coach Ty lets them go back and forth, and anything you can do, I can do better. And so I'd like to see the growth of Saniyah King as the point guard and the leader of the team rise to the occasion because she's no longer a freshman. She's played a whole season almost. So I want to see her play to that level. And her mark now is to play on the same level as Diamond. So, from going from rookie of the week to playing with the potential player of the conference player of the year, that's my overreaction is I think we got somebody who can go toe to toe with her.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
All
That's
right.
what I'm talking
We'll
about. So
see.
I'm looking out.
Yeah.
I'm looking out Miss King to be able to do her thing. Miss King do her thing. So underreactions for the guys. What you got for us?
All right. So my underreaction, and it's kind of close to what you talked about, but this is the Dream Factory. Bison Nation, we've seen in the last two seasons, and especially the last season, this team face adversity.
Yes.
I have the utmost confidence. Well, first, before I even get to the confidence in the coaching staff, I think the glass half full, even with these injuries, is as people start to come back, the players now that are getting time, like Calvin Robbins, Taiwo, when the rubber meets the road, and we need to dig deep, it's in the tourney. It's these games and these moments where they're getting this experience. I think we're going to see some breakthroughs at tourney time. Because if you told me like last year, if you told me Jordan Hairston was going to save our season, I'd have bet all of your money. B Smooth, I'd have said, give me all of B Smooth's money. I'm putting it on the house. There's no way Jordan Hairston is going to be the one that's going to take us to the promised land. But sure enough, he did. So I'm saying for this team, some of our underused players that are getting time now, more time than they would have if everybody was healthy, will be the difference that will allow us to have a chance to repeat as MEAC champ. So
you know what?
Confidence in the coaching system. Bison Nation, I feel your anxiety. I hear it. I see it. But we got the staff, we got the players that can face this adversity and rise up and still have a chance for a MEAC championship. So, RELAX. We got this.
Not relax. Well, I love the underreaction. Matter of fact, that was well done, well appointed. You set us up with the overreaction. Will we ever win again? And then you say, well, we will. And not only will we win, but there's still a chance. There's still a chance. If we're, we just need to, you need to get hot at the right time, like we did the last couple of seasons. We weren't burning up the court all season long. We caught the fire 2 or 3 weeks before conference play, and it got us all the way through. It propelled us into conference play. So I agree with you there. I think that underreaction is well done, sir. Well done. I will add that on the ladies' side, my underreaction is that I don't care how they win as long as they win. And so we know that the identity is based on multiple people scoring, winning on the boards, and playing defense. Defense wins championships. And so what we haven't had in the past is a strong presence in the down, down on the box. And that's what's caused us maybe to come up short a couple of times when it comes time to play. We had to rely on Destiny, to put us in play all the time. And so she's going to play well. I think she's coming along well with her, getting her legs back under her. But I think at the same time, the more we see Z-Payne and Niall and Vanessa and everybody start to play the way they play, I think that our identity is here. We just got to play to it. I think these next few games are going to solidify it. And I just want to show down kind of like the Thriller in Manila. I want to see that we play Norfolk really tough when they come to town at the end of the season. And I want them to be like, we got to watch out for them, because when they host us down in Norfolk, down for the MEAC tournament, I want them to be like, man, I hope we don't get those jokers in the matchup, because they should be looking over their shoulder at us, because we can do everything they can do. We just need to play to our toughness. So my underreaction is that we got what we need. We just got to keep playing. We just got to keep playing.
And speaking of toughness, I got a bone to pick with Coach Grace.
What's up?
I need some more minutes for Marissa Steele.
Really?
She's the epitome of toughness. So I want to see her more in the game. She's like an energy transfusion. It's like as soon as you put her in, she just raises the energy, raises the level. So, Coach Grace,
I like it.
See if you can find some more minutes for Marissa Steele.
As you're looking in the camera, are we going to shout out to Coach Ty Grace? She's a big supporter and a fan of the program. I know we're rescheduling her. She was going to be one of our first guests because we wanted to really honor, the dynasty she's been building kind of under the radar a little bit. We want to see how she continues to keep trying to bring championships to Howard. So, yeah, Coach Grace, I know we talked a little bit when I was in town. Good seeing you last week. I promise you, I'm not putting Chip up to this. This is him. He really wants to see Marissa get some more minutes. I know Marissa has to earn them, but just know that we've seen the spark she brings whenever she hits the floor. So we see what you're trying to do. We want to cheer you on, and want to cheer the entire teams on. We want to cheer everybody, playing basketball on. So exciting, bro. I mean, this has been good. I really appreciate you allowing us to dive in. We now know a little bit more about what it means to have unforced errors. And quite frankly, how disappointing it is to have a blowout victory. So I appreciate that. You gave me a lot of diversity today. So with that, man, how you want to close this out today, bro?
Hey, thanks for the show, for organizing it. Be Smooth. You always do a great job. Bison Nation, shout out to you for coming to the games. I see you out there in the stands. Remember to keep supporting this championship culture, this dream factory, by donating to the university. You could donate at hubison.com, straight to the athletic department. You can donate to our name, image, and likeness collective, the Mecca Society, at themecasociety.org. You can follow us on Instagram at Bison Brothers Basketball. Please tell everybody about this #1 podcast for Bison basketball. You can hear us on YouTube, on Spotify, on Apple. Share the podcast, like the podcast, subscribe to the podcast, give us your comments on the podcast, and just keep coming to the games. Keep supporting this championship culture at Howard University. And we're going to end this like we always do. You know how we do. You know.